is Mike Adams from PANDEMIC.NEWS with an important set of predictions and updates on the coronavirus outbreak. First of all, just as predicted, now that the labs have begun to test in America, we're starting to see many new cases confirmed in New York, in Chicago. There are 15 U.S. states now that have coronavirus infections confirmed. Of course, it's killed at least 6 people in Washington. You may recall 4 weeks ago, I told you that Seattle had an outbreak that was already known by government agencies, i.e. Homeland Security and the CDC. They covered it up. They tried to just shut down testing. The CDC succeeded in shutting down testing for about 4 weeks. And during that time, the virus exploded all across America. So right now, today, there are approaching 10,000 infections in America. The virus is right now spreading on domestic commercial flights. All of us who are telling the truth about this, who have been 100% accurate from day one, we are being censored, smeared, deplatformed, all the usual things, but now doubled because there is an effort to hide the truth, to bury the numbers. And just yesterday, the CDC pulled from its website the statistic that showed the number of Americans who have been tested by the CDC. We've now entered the rule by secrecy phase of the cover-up, where the CDC is actively deleting data to deceive the American people and withhold from America the truth about who's tested and perhaps even about the number of infections that are confirmed or even the number of deaths that occur. Now, fortunately, at the moment, we're getting accurate information from the state governments. So we see the governor of New York State come out and issue a press conference and a statement. We've got the governor of Washington State that has issued statements, and the governor of California has taken action. There are governors of cities and counties that have declared emergencies. I saw a press release from Santa Clara County, a public health official, that was really the most enlightened and accurate press release I've seen yet from any official. So it seems like the more local you get, the smaller the government is, the more honest it becomes. But the more national you get, the more dishonest it is, to the point where you have the Surgeon General now saying, "Don't buy masks, people." And then he says, "Masks don't work, and we need them at the hospitals." So if they don't work, why do you need them at the hospitals, Mr. Surgeon General? You see, we've entered also what I call the idiocracy phase, where the level of incompetence at the federal level, at the top of the government, is so high now that it's questionable whether we as a society even have the functional intelligence to deal with this. I think we don't. As I said last week, we will have tens of infections confirmed this week in the labs. Next week, it may be hundreds of infections. And within 2 or 3 weeks after that, it may be thousands of infections if the labs are reporting the truth. Now, at some point, there's going to be federal pressure for state labs to stop reporting infections. So it's apparent that America has now gone the route of China. Instead of transparency like South Korea, it's all about covering up the number of infections in order to try to control public emotions and control the narrative, even if you can't control the virus. In fact, right now, it looks like the federal government is more interested in controlling emotions, but not the virus, because the virus is still spreading nationwide. You've got doctors in TV interviews now screaming about how they can't get anybody tested. The testing is still not being done on a large enough basis to stop this. And so this is spreading right now by design across America. And it's going to continue to spread until they shut down society. I'm talking about quarantines of major cities. I'm talking about a declaration of medical martial law in one way or another. Well, it'll be called a national emergency. There will probably be bans on domestic air travel to and from certain cities where the outbreak is occurring. Ultimately, we're going to see tens of thousands of infections across America, almost certainly growing to hundreds of thousands of infections next winter. Some epidemiologists say there may be a lull in the infections over the summer because of the hot weather. There is no evidence of that whatsoever. They're referring to influenza. The flu doesn't spread during hot weather as much as during cold weather. This is not influenza, this is a coronavirus. And there's no evidence whatsoever that the summer will magically make this thing disappear, especially when it's spreading inside buildings, airplanes, schools, nursing homes, right? Cruise ships. It doesn't matter what the temperature is outside. So this argument that it's going to go away in the summer is rooted in no evidence whatsoever. And then on top of all that, I see Trump officials at the CDC and the Surgeon General and Homeland Security out there telling people do not prepare, it's bad, while at the same time, the U.S. military is buying up every bioprotective suit, every mask they can get their hands on. And Mike Pence announced that they've done a deal with 3M to produce millions of masks a month. If you're going to produce millions of masks, why are you telling people not to get them? So this is a very bizarre, deceptive case where you've got the government preparing like mad, the government buying up food supplies, the government getting the personal protective gear. And you recall a few months ago, the government was buying up every night vision device they could get their hands on. That was right before this thing hit. And at the same time, this government is telling you, the citizens, do not prepare. You don't need any of that stuff. These are not accidents, folks. These releases are deliberate. This will infect every city in America. There will be quarantines, there will be medical martial law. In some cases, starvation, desperation. People dying in their homes, the hospital beds will be overrun. And you are told, do not prepare. Well, if you're dumb enough to believe the media, the official sources, then you might just die from this. But if you're smart, then you will get prepared because you know what's coming. And when you are forced into quarantine in your home or apartment for 30 days or longer, you won't die because you've got food and supplies, and you've got maybe povidone iodine, isopropyl alcohol, chlorine dioxide, all these different molecules and chemicals that can be used to sanitize surfaces. You've got all this stuff because you planned ahead and you got prepped. And that's what I'm urging you to do today. Your opportunity to get prepared, that window's rapidly closing. And it's time to get ready because your government is actively now, maliciously, deliberately plotting to cause the deaths of potentially millions of Americans. And that's now evident in their own actions and in their own official lies. This video was made possible by Brighteon.com. After being deplatformed by YouTube, I built Brighteon.com so that we can speak. All voices of dissent are welcome. Join Brighteon.com now, post your videos today, and start building an audience there where you will not be censored. Brighteon.com.